Hello, all performers, and welcome to the fourth installment of the Courageous Leadership series, where we're talking about mindset, messaging, and moving forward in this time of the global pandemic and coronavirus and how it is affecting us all personally and professionally. Let's go into the first mindset strategy, which I look at what's going on in our society right now as kind of a game of tug of war, where on one side, pulling the rope, you've got uncertainty and fear and unrest and just all of these negative emotions where whether you go out into your company, your community, your church or Costco, like you can almost feel it. It's palpable. And that is pulling on one side of the rope. And what we need to do as courageous, outperforming leaders is we need to match that, and we need to be pulling on the other side of the rope with that same intensity and with that same strength. So this first part, when we're talking about mindset in regards to courageous leadership, is to actually amplify your goodness. Because if you just show up the way that you've been showing up until this point with the same amount of good energy and positivity, let's say, well, you're going to get run over by all of the negativity and all of the unrest and the uncertainty and the fear that's going on out there in our society. So actually, to be that courageous leader that I know that you are and that I know that you strive to be, you have to amplify that goodness and you have to match that other side of the rope as far as what's going on out in our society right now. And three particular areas I would encourage you to really think about amplifying what it is that you're doing. And it's just a simple triple P. The first P is patience. Because of the fear and the uncertainty that's going on, people are just extremely on edge with what's going on. So if you want to be a courageous leader, it actually requires that you exercise a greater level of patience and understanding what people are going through at this current moment. Two, positivity. Goes without saying that there's a lot of negativity out there. In the second installment, I talked about really being conscious and intentional about managing those inputs and the information that's coming at you on a day-to-day basis. You have to be able to be even more positive about what's going on than you've ever been before. And number three is principle. You look at principle as integrity, but this is whatever decisions you need to make personally or professionally need to be done from a place of values, a place of integrity, and a place of principle as far as what you're doing. And if you amplify those three things, you are not only going to be showing up as a courageous leader, but you are going to differentiate yourself from others in this crowded sea of unrest and uncertainty that's going on. So that is the first part as far as mindset goes, is to amplify that goodness. Second one is to actually practice positive future pacing. And if you've never heard that term before, it's kind of a big thing in persuasion and in NLP or neuro-linguistic programming. But what it basically is it's the words and the messaging that you use, not only for yourself, but also for the people around you, whether it's your family, your team, your community, your company, or your organization. And I have to give credit when credit is due, because I knew about this concept, but I was recently reading an article in Forbes that it was a study done by Todd Herman. Todd and I are very similar, where he started out working with athletes, now he works with business leaders, but he actually did an in-depth study on 29 CEOs, where he spoke with them about how they're managing all of the pandemic and all the changes that are going on, and took their conversations and transcribed their language as far as what they were saying, and he was able to break them down into three different categories. Basically, the first one was fear-based CEOs, second one was unfocused CEOs, and then the third one was strategic CEOs. I almost forgot about that one. So, strategic CEOs. And one of the main differences or differentiators between the fear-based CEOs and the strategic CEOs was the language that they were using and the positive future pacing. So as far as what this looks like negative future pacing would just be using a lot more words like struggling, difficult, afraid, fearful, just things are really hard right now. It's kind of dwelling on some of those things. And the positive future pacing, if you understand anything about NLP and how the mind actually works, it's painting a visual of kind of a brighter future. And you might be saying, well, Scott, I have no idea what the future looks like. And quite honestly, I don't either. But that doesn't mean that you can't still practice positive future pacing with the people around you that you are looking to lead. And what this looks like is, let me ask you this. Can you imagine how much better a leader you are going to be after you've gone through all of these trials and tribulations? Can you envision or see how much stronger your team is going to be and how much more united they are going to be now that they've shared this common struggle? Can you see how much better we're potentially going to be as a society and how much more appreciative we're going to be of each other after we've gone through this coronavirus and global pandemic? All of those things, when we're talking about the specific words of things like picture, see, visualize, imagine, what you are basically saying is you're saying, can you look into the future to see what are some of the lessons that you're going to learn from this, and how are you actually going to be a little bit better from having gone through it? And I know in the first installment of this series, I talked about one of the essential things in messaging is to be able to demonstrate empathy, to let people know that they're understood, and to meet them where they are. So it must start there, where you are talking to people in the people that are afraid, people that are fearful, people that think that it's hard or it's difficult right now. Meet them there, acknowledge that that's what they're going through, but then to actually drip in and to actually make sure that you're using some of that language periodically in the positive future pacing, where you're talking about, this will make you, this will make us better, this will make us more appreciative, because then that shows us that it's not just all for naught. Like, there will actually be some good that comes from it when we get to that light at the end of the tunnel. Number 3 is to stay the course. Now, you can look at this very simply as like a Pareto principle and kind of 80-20 rule, where it is just a very natural human response that one of the reasons that we actually become really fearful or really afraid of things is a sense of we don't want to lose what we have. And I'm hesitant to sometimes talk about finances here, but you look at it like what's going on with the market, okay? We don't want to lose what we have, so we think, oh my gosh, I've saved all this money, I've put all of this away, I'm losing it, so now I need to make these sweeping, monumental changes as far as my investment strategy and my portfolio. The same way that you can very easily look at business and you can say, well, all of my business, all these changes are going on, I need to dramatically shift and change what it is that I'm doing. And in reality, do you maybe need to make tweaks in, let's say, that 20% and possibly shift things slightly? Yes, I think that would be a good thing to look at for all of us. But this too shall pass. I think I've said this in every installment. And quite honestly, once we get through what's going on right now, things probably won't look all that much different than what they looked pre-pandemic or pre what was going on with the coronavirus. We will adjust and we will adapt to our new normal that will probably be more similar than we realize to our old normal. And it doesn't mean that we need to completely reinvent the wheel as far as our investment strategy, our business practices, and the things that we are doing. So now is not the time to make sweeping, monumental changes as far as what is happening. Stay the course on what you've done up to this point, because it will help you move forward in the long term. Trust me. So to recap these three things, amplify your goodness in the game of tug of war, particularly through your patience, through your positivity, and through your principle. Make sure you're dripping in and using some of that positive future pacing with the people you're leading around you, and then stay the course. Because if you do that, that's where you're going to have the long-term gain, and none of us want to be making the sweeping monumental changes right now. It's just not the right time. Thank you for being here. Keep leading people courageously. Keep outperforming, and I will see you in the 5th installment. Have a great day.